Boom! I still had my son's M&M's in the pocket. Alright, what do we have here? You like that? I filmed a review, not a review, a video with it on this morning. Can you guys hear me? All right. Can you guys hear me? I'm guessing no. Oh, all right. What's up, guys? So I made a trailer reaction, if you recall, to Rise of the Skywalker. My first and last ever trailer reaction. So, hey, Dominic. And what's funny is you can go back and watch it, but I slept through the trailer because I thought the trailer was pretty boring. And I am a Star Wars purist. I grew up with Star Wars. Obviously, some of you know my ties to it. And I'm not a hater. I actually enjoy the final trilogy, 7, 8, 9, more than I do 1, 2, 3. Obviously, 4, 5, 6 is the best by far. And one of the things... Hey, J-Dub. One of the things about the trilogy in general is it's like supporting a football team that used to be a dynasty. Kind of awkward. You always hope that they'll come back 20, 30 years later and do it again, but they won't. And that's the realism of it. So the new episodes, 1, 2, 3 that came out 20 years ago and 5 or 7, 8, 9 that came out now and whatever's going to come out in the future will never ever match 4, 5, and 6. They just won't. It's the way things are, and everyone has these high hopes that it'll happen. So you have these Star Wars purists, and this video will probably get a ton of thumbs down as well, because they, if you disagree with them or insinuate something that they don't like, you're wrong, and they attack you like crazy. Like, I made the trailer reaction where I slept through the trailer. And then at the end of it, I said, that was kind of a joke. The trailer really isn't that interesting to me, but I am excited for these reasons. And some asshole commented on it. I'm glad people like you won't be in the theater with me. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? So if you're a Star Wars purist, and I'm about to tell you my initial reactions from Rise of Skywalker. This is going to be a short video because I'm going to go grill some steak in the snow because that's how I roll. But if you disagree with me, that's totally cool. If you're going to attack me because you disagree with me, go fuck yourself. And I'd love to meet you in person. But, so let's start. There are going to be spoilers here, and I want to emphasize that. If you don't want to know what happens, turn off the video right now. So, here we go. It was extremely predictable. And before that, let's preface it with, I enjoyed it a lot. It was extremely predictable. As long as we got a popcorn bucket with a hole in it, Jeebus, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm kidding. I was there with my kids. Every scene, I knew exactly what was going to happen next, and I'm not a cinematic genius. So it was just extremely predictable on every level, which was okay, fine, whatever. So I want to talk about the negatives first, so I get a lot of haters, Star Wars purists, nerds who have no better lives attack me, and then I'll talk about the good things afterwards. So these are the things I didn't like. Number one is I'm trying to do it in order. Number one is Rey's mysterious reveal. I didn't like it. It almost seems like they sat in a boardroom and they said, we got to explain Rey and Snoke's lineage. What can we do? I don't know. Just say it wouldn't make sense if she's a Skywalker, which, kind of in the end she kind of was. Let's just say she was related to Palpatine and bring him back. Okay, sounds good. And the way they brought him back, I thought was pretty clever. But so I didn't like that. Why did she even have to be related to somebody? The Force, it doesn't necessarily flow, and the Force isn't real, but it could flow in people that don't have the lineage. So that bothered me that they just said, okay, she's Palpatine's granddaughter, because it left a whole lot of gaps on Palpatine's children and her parents. Well, why weren't they evil? Were they just living a normal life even though their father was ruling the universe? What the fuck? So I didn't like that. The other thing I didn't like is how powerful they made Palpatine for this reason. I thought it was cool in the movie, but it really diminished the value of Darth Vader, who had the highest midi-chlorian count ever and was supposedly, had the most Force powers. It really extremely diminished Darth Vader's power. And Darth Vader is, one of the top 5 villains of all time. So I did not dig that. The fact that they made Palpatine so powerful, but they portrayed him really well. The other thing I didn't like, and there's a part of it I did, was, Palpatine's back to life, and he's hooked up to that machine until he takes, Rey and Kylo's power. Why is he hooked up to that machine? It made sense, but if he's so powerful, he should be able to regenerate without that machine, and has he been stuck on that machine forever and ever and ever? So I didn't like that. Another thing I didn't like, speaking of Palpatine, is how the new Admiral General that took the place of the red whiny-haired kid who was the spy, how he was bending his knee to Palpatine. What the hell was that about? That whole scene could have went away. Some other things I didn't like about it, or I thought it could have been done differently, is when the Emperor was trying to kill Rey at the very end where she comes back, and all the Jedis are speaking to her, which I thought was cool. What would have blown everyone away and had a standing ovation is if when she opened her eyes, all of the ghosts of all the popular Jedis were behind her. So they could have had Anakin and Qui-Gon Jinn, Yoda, Leia, Luke, Obi-Wan, just standing there kind of, backing her up where she, before she kills Palpatine. So Palpatine. I'm probably getting hate for saying it wrong. Sounds like a cleaner, doesn't it? Get some Palpatine, that'll clean that right up. I'm going to go through the comments too. So I didn't like that. I also didn't like the Emperor's crowd. Who the fuck were they? Did they have any power? Did they, what were they doing? Did they just sit there every day staring at him on his machine? What the hell was that? So that didn't make sense. Something else, 2 other things that really bothered me, then we'll jump into the good stuff. Number 1, I loved from the Force Awakens up till now, I love the relationship between Kylo and Rey. I loved the character development of each. I know this isn't something negative, but to me they were so brother and sister, maybe not by marriage. And I know that, Star Wars is cool with having siblings kiss each other and shit like that. But when he saved her life at the end, it should have been a hug. It should not have been a kiss. It should have been a hug and a kiss on the cheek. They had more of a brother-sister relationship than a lover relationship, in my opinion. But like I said, some places, apparently in whatever land that was called in Alabama, shit like that's okay. There's 2 other things I didn't like. One I'll share with you. One I'm tempted not to, because I will get a lot of hate because people will think I'm attacking a protected class, so I won't talk about that. But I will talk about the other thing. Let's talk about the money grab that Disney made with Rey's yellow saber. What the fuck? It's awesome she has her own saber, but you show it for 2 seconds at the end where she's not fighting anybody. Come on. That's just a money grab. That's all that is. We're going to make, replica sabers of hers and people will want it. She should have fought not Snoke. She should have fought Palpatine with it, in my opinion. But so those are the things I didn't like. Jeebus, they keep holding your collections because you're dropping the F word. Or not collections, your comments. The second thing, all right, let's talk about the things they highlighted it, Jeebus. that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, you had to zoom in on that, which I have no problem with it, but it's like I want to show that Disney supports this community. You don't make that statement during a movie. That just bothered me. But so let's move on to the things that I loved about the movie. I loved the comedic element they had that they've had in the last few movies. I thought they pulled it off really well during tense situations. You know, whether it was Finn or Poe or C-3PO. I liked that. I thought they did a good job. I thought they did a good job honoring the memory of Carrie Fisher. You know, when she died, you could tell it wasn't her in the final scene that she was in. So I think they did a good job. She sacrificed herself for her son, and I think that was a good memory to Carrie Fisher. I really liked how, like I said, how powerful they made the Emperor. I wish they would have steered away from that concept, but since they went down that road, I thought it was cool. He was very scary. He was true evil. He encompassed that. They accomplished that well, even though it pissed on Darth Vader's grave. Next, I didn't take notes or anything. I thought about doing it for you guys, but I didn't. What else about it that I loved? I love the fact that it tied back to almost all the original movies. Some were really big Easter eggs. For example, if at the end when she went back to Luke's home, some were tiny, tiny little Easter eggs, and I'm sure I missed other ones, but they tied back to almost every single film. That was neat. I like that they concluded everything. I think that was good because everything was always left hanging, it seems like, in any movie. One of the things I talked about this before in a statue review, in episodes 4, 5, and 6, what I loved about those is they left you hanging, but you would have been okay if there wasn't a sequel. They were able to close it out. Well, here they closed everything out. I thought, there's still some unanswered questions, but I'm not going to lose sleep over that. So I like how they closed everything out. I like how they introduced a few new characters, but the new characters weren't, here, this is in your face. This is now a primary character, and you have to follow this person's role. They still stayed as secondary characters, and also it seems like from the past few sequels, The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, the characters that weren't that popular didn't have a huge role in this, which is good. Once again, I love the interaction between Kylo and Rey. A lot of people don't like it. I think Kylo's character through all 3 episodes was developed extremely well. I saw the conflict in him because I struggle with, between wanting to... I can't say because someone will flag this video and say I'm a psycho, which I am. But I really identified with Kylo throughout the whole series, and I think they developed his character well, and I think they concluded his character. And the fact that he died, and not only died, but sacrificed himself for Rey, was perfect because I don't think having him around would be helpful, especially when you think about all the people he's murdered. So that was good. Exactly, Rob. I still want to know what Finn had to say, said no one ever. I'm going to address the comments in a second. But no one cared. I totally forgot about that. All right. I did not like how they put Death Stars on every ship, where every ship could destroy it. I understand what they were trying to accomplish, that, hey, the Emperor is now capable of destroying the whole universe if he wants to, but that was kind of a corny way to do it. One thing I really liked about it is there was very few really hard to swallow pills in this. Like, that was stupid. Why they do it that way? If you can get over the concept that, in a galaxy far, far away, all this is really happening. Most of it followed, the sequence chronologically. There was a few, I don't want to say corny parts. I liked the concept, but I just didn't like how it was accomplished. For example, when Rey was holding back the freighter that they thought Chewie was in, that looked really corny. I liked the concept of it, her struggling with Kylo about the power and then the lightning coming out. Same thing when Rey was fighting the Emperor. She just looked shaky. She didn't look awesome Jedi type. I like the concept, just not the execution. I guess that's the best way to say it. What else did I really like? I should have taken notes. I love they brought Lando back, and not only did they bring him back, they brought him back at awesome times. But it was very predictable. For example, when the arrow went through the stormtrooper's helmet, I whispered to my 7-year-old, I go, that was Lando. And of course it was Lando. So I love that. And then at the end, when Poe wasn't going to make it in time to save Finn, and the secondary character from the last one, no one remembers her name. That I'm thinking of someone else. But when he was going to save Finn and the new character, which may have been related to Lando, I don't know. They kind of hinted at that. How all of a sudden Lando came in with the Millennium Falcon, said, well, this ship is fast enough. So stuff like that was pretty cool. I think they had an awesome job with the music. They tied it in at the right parts. If you haven't seen how much background noise and music affects a video, go Google movies without soundtrack and shit like that. It is unbelievable the way that a music score or background noise can change a scene. I think they did a great job. When the dark side is showing its power, I love the Imperial March, and they did that. They did it at the beginning, they did it during key intervals. When the Jedis are using their power, they use the soft Star Wars theme music. That was perfect. So I think they did a great job choosing when and where to use the soundtrack, because they did not in the previous two movies. What other good points? I think I'm running out. It was entertaining. There was not very few dull moments. So my 7-year-old, as you can imagine, he gets bored watching movies, as we all do, if he doesn't have a device in front of them, and I'm the same way. But very rarely was I like, hey, come on, speed it up here. So they did a good job with that. Everything seemed pretty genuine. Now I'm going to talk about my overall of the last 3 episodes. Force Awakens, Last Jedi, I don't know where the hate is for them. They're not Oscar-winning cinematic films. They're entertaining. They tell a story. They're not trash. They're not true to the original Star Wars. But I was entertained by them. This one, I think, is the best of the 3. I like, as I said in the original, if you started at the beginning with me, I like the episodes 7, 8, 9 better than I do 1, 2, 3, which a lot of people don't. I didn't dig 1, 2, 3 at all. I hated Hayden Christensen as Anakin, even though I like him in a few other flicks. So I'm going to address the chat now. Those are my thoughts. If you just joined in, go ahead and watch it from the beginning. But let's see who's in the house. We got Jeebus dropping F-bombs left and right. We got a Chris, Sebastian, Rob, Dominic. I think I just talked to Dominic on eBay the other day. What's up, buddy? George is on. J-Dub already dropped out. If I forget your name, then it's probably because I don't like you. That's not true. Yeah, it is. The Lobes. Rob. Figure this. Moosed. All right, let me check out what some of the comments are. And again, if you're expecting these new Star Wars movies, and they're going to create episodes 10, 11, 12. I'm just letting you know that. It may not be for 20 more years, but they will. If you're expecting them to meet the original or surpass it, it's never going to happen. Seven, 8, 9 are just fan fiction. They are. They're money makers. But like I said, I was entertained. Star Wars and Dragon Ball fans are the worst, even though I love both. So you're the worst? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, they said fuck Vader. They really did. That really upset me. I mean, Vader... I love how they tied back, his voice, his helmet, but he was apparently not as powerful as Kylo. Like I loved in, I think it was The Last Jedi, it was in The Force Awakens, where Rey goes to him, you're afraid you will never be as powerful as Darth Vader. I loved that kind of homage to him, but in him, he's dead. He's gone. Finn was cock-blocked. Oh, yeah, he wanted Rey. Yeah, Han Solo memory scene. The Lobes brought that up. That was fantastic. It wasn't corny at all. Harrison Ford's an amazing actor, but he's in his 70s now. And don't get me wrong, he did a great job. He didn't say much during that scene. And it was like this unspoken bond between father and son, the prodigal son story. And you could really just see it. You could feel it. You could understand it. So I think they did a great job. They didn't try and do it over the top. They nailed that. Yeah, I think that was. I don't think it was his daughter. It was probably his granddaughter. Return of the Jedi is number 1. John's on. What's up, buddy? Iron Studios statues on pre-order. It's kind of not what we're talking about, but I do have the Sentinel Dio. I have the Thanos Endgame, which I'm going to cancel, and I have their Captain America Endgame. Figure this. Let's bring George Lucas back and we can name episode 10 A New Hope. I don't remember. He destroyed his own helmet. Moost. Yeah, oh, and the other thing too, this I didn't like. When Rey was in Kylo's quarters, that's what he called them, getting the knife. What kind of fucking weird room is that, Kylo? That's your quarters, like where you sleep? You have Darth Vader's helmet on a pedestal. You have the knife with the language that 3PO can read if a tiny creature gets on his back. But so normally when I go live without planning, I don't leave videos up there, but I'm going to leave this one up. Let me know your thoughts on the not only the last movie, but the last trilogy. Overall, as a sequel to Star Wars, I give it a this. As entertainment, I give it this. I think definitely some lost opportunity, but yeah. Just the Wonder Woman Ultimate. I think I'm getting it in January. It's on my Extreme Expos that's launching. Yeah, the Lobes, and I don't know if you missed that. That would have been badass if when Rey woke up from hearing all the Jedis were behind her as ghosts to help her defeat Palpatine. Especially because he kept saying all the Sith live in him. Kylo's man cave, yeah, instead of having statues, that's what he has. That's true. But he called it his quarters. And they were small. If I was the supreme supreme leader, it was like as big as this room. My quarters would be huge. There's a sexual joke in there for sure. But yeah, that's all I got. So I think I have a new piece I'm going to review today. I have a bunch of reviews I got on deck over the last 3 days because I was out. I didn't know what to do. I have like 7 or 8 videos now, and I got a piece today that I'm really curious about because it's like 90 pounds, and I didn't expect that at all. That's what she said. So I'm going to leave this up as my reaction to Rise of the Skywalker, just like the trailer reaction. This will be... I will never do another trailer reaction again. I guarantee that. But I'm not going to do too many more movie reactions or movie reviews. But this is a pretty monumental movie, and I think the next big movie, which hasn't even been announced, would be if they ever made another Avengers. Or new X-Men with the MCU. That's true, Moost. So Moost makes a point. I told you I was leaving. Moost makes a point that his problem is with all the sequels, they only have like variants of the original starships, which, if you think about it, the time that has passed. So from episode 1, I mean, we're probably talking 100 years maybe from episode 1 to episode 9, and they haven't come up with new technology. Well, if you think about 100 years ago, it's, almost 2020, 1920. I think that's when the first cars were maybe coming out. And now we have electric cars. So, good point. Anybody else have any comments before I gotta catch up on some other shit. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. As always, drop me a comment and a like. It helps the channel's visibility, so all those Star Wars purists that get mad anytime anyone disagrees with them or their conspiracy theories, we can say, go fuck yourself. Take care.